Every business wants good customer reviews. Every customer wants a good experience. So what happens when both sides click? Or in some cases, when they don't? From Yelp and Entrepreneur Media, this is Behind the Review.
Behind the review, dig deeper too. Behind the review, get all the news. Food, flowers, fixing, make business boom. Behind the review, dig deeper too.
I'm Emily Washkovic, Yelp small business expert. Behind the Review features conversations with business owners and customers who wrote one of their Yelp reviews. In our discussions, we talk about lessons they've learned that can be used by other businesses to improve their own reviews and their bottom line. This week, I'm talking with Tony Gemignani, owner and founder of Tony's Pizza Napoletana, a full-service pizza restaurant in San Francisco. Tony also owns some fast casual concepts you might have heard of, like Slice House. And Tony's opened pizza kiosks, he has a presence at arenas, and he's currently launching 100 plus franchises. He even has a small grocery store concept called Giovanni's. Tony is doing a lot. And in today's episode, you're not only going to hear about a customer experience at their flagship restaurant from reviewer and Yelp San Francisco community manager, Dominic B, but you're also going to hear advice and insights from a guy who runs multiple concepts and business styles smoothly. It's not always seamless, but with systems, communication, and great leadership, it's possible to maintain an excellent customer experience, even if you yourself are no longer servicing the customers directly.
I've been in the city for 8 years now, and I first heard about Tony's honestly probably quite early into my time in the city. I think Tony's is one of those places where if you ask someone that's around the area, like, what's a good spot to go to pizza, someone will say Tony's. Tony's is an iconic place in the city for sure. And if you were to do a little bit more research into why, it's because Tony's Pizza is a highly acclaimed, international award-winning pizza destination. And so that obviously draws a lot of people in. I don't often go to North Beach, being where I am, it's a little bit further, but always a good reason if I'm in the area, if I am craving some pizza, like to go pick up some Tony's.
Dominic's job is to engage the local community of consumers and connect them with great local businesses. He also works to encourage engagement through reviews and photos, and writes a lot of reviews himself. Let's give his review of Tony's Pizza Napoletana a listen.
If you ask someone where to get pizza in SF, there's a good chance that they'll say Tony's. Tony's is an iconic pizza spot located in North Beach that's known for their award-winning pizza. This is my second time visiting. I knew to come hungry, especially because some of the pizzas can be quite sizable, and I ordered for takeout, or delivery, technically. I opted for one of their top sellers, which was a gold medal winner in Las Vegas, the New Yorker. Pizza costs $38 and comes topped with sliced mozzarella, hand-crushed tomato sauce, pepperoni, sliced Italian fennel sausage, calabrese sausage, ricotta, chopped garlic, and oregano. At first glance, the pizza is thin-crusted, New York style for sure, and very thin. However, the dough wasn't moist from any of the sauces or ingredients bleeding through, which is always a plus. The pizza's flavor was balanced between savory, salty, spicy, and a little bit creamy, thanks to the ricotta. Speaking of the ricotta, I'm a firm believer in putting ricotta on all pizza, and this ricotta was good. I also really enjoyed that there was 2 different types of sausage, with the calabrese sausage adding heat and the Italian fennel sausage adding a note of like sweetness. The pizza is a great pizza to share between 2 or 3 others, but if you're extra hungry like me, you might even be able to finish the whole thing thanks to its thin crust.
Dominic ordered one of the most popular pizzas, and in owner Tony's opinion, one of the best ones for delivery. We'll come back to the concept and food quality of delivery a little later on. But first, I want you to get a sense of this flagship location, which is a sit-down pizza restaurant in San Francisco, because it's different.
Tony's is unique. It's the first restaurant of its kind, and nobody really believed in it. It had multiple styles, multiple ovens from gas, wood burning, coal, electric, rotating gas. Depending on the style pizza that you like, we pretty much almost have that on the menu. So if you're a Neapolitan, Roman, St. Louis, Detroit, grandma, Sicilian type fan from California to gluten free, you can get that style with the correct flour to the correct oven temperature to the correct, let's say, cheese. And at the time, 15 years ago, you never really saw a Roman and Neapolitan guy get along. It was like, I make New York, I make Chicago. You never really kind of brought them all together. And now you see a concept that has multiple styles. So it was something I believed in before it became mainstream. And it really worked well. And it's something I love. I was lucky enough to travel around the world and try different regional styles of pizza and kind of almost bring it all into one.
With all of the different styles and offerings, it's important that the team is educated on the menu and able to not only help customers determine what pizza style would be best for them, but also help customers avoid disappointment if they're not sure what they're ordering.
When you step into Tony's, you're sitting there, the menu's bold and giant, and you're looking through it like, okay, all these styles, all these temperatures, all these ovens. It can be a little confusing. And what I like to tell my servers, go to a table, ask them where they're from, how they're doing, of course, and say, what kind of style do you like? Do you like it thick or thin? Do you like it in the pan? Do you like it round or square? It kind of goes down that route. And then sometimes people think they may love the margarita, the pizza that won best pizza in the world, Naples, 2007. And just because it's the best pizza in the world and won back in the day doesn't mean that everybody will like it. Is it charred, chewy, wet, soupy almost like Neapolitan should be, 90-second bake, 900 degrees? Or is it crispy, you fold and it doesn't break like a New York slice? Those are two different sides of the world. And at the same time, when it comes to pizza, everybody kind of grew up with their favorite. So there's a lot of education involved, even when it comes to our coal fire, 1,000 degrees, charred, crispy, could get a clam and garlic. You may never had clam and garlic with freshly squeezed lemon over the top, but that's a pizza that's very iconic when you go to New Haven, you go some of the places like Pepe's or Sally's or Modern, stuff like that. So, you know, people come into San Francisco, they're from everywhere. And I love to listen to your customers, see what they're about, where they're from. And was it that pizza that you loved as a kid? And hopefully I can recreate that for you and drop it in, on your table and you eat it. You're like, oh yeah, it just brought me back to when things were much simpler in life or happier in life.
This education the servers provide is also a connection point. It gives them a chance to get to know the customer and create a relationship with them. In the sit down environment of Tony's Pizza Napoletana, that's all a part of the experience. Believe it or not, the teams that work at the slice houses also do this through quick highlights of what they have available that day, as well as questions to help the customer determine what they want. And whether it's a sit down experience, grabbing pizza by the slice, or even delivery, Tony works to ensure their food quality standards remain strong. And he's been offering delivery long before the pandemic.
COVID hit, and all of a sudden, these Michelin star chefs were like, what do I do? You had legacy restaurants that had no platforms and they were stuck. They had no clue. They weren't on third parties. They didn't have Facebook. They didn't have Instagram. People were on their phones all day wondering what the hell's going to happen. You couldn't tell them if you're open, you're closed. They had none of that. And it was almost like you were at home figuring out what to do. And if you're a restaurant that took a back seat and just depended on their everyday customers that came in and that was it, you're really stuck, really stuck. And, you're trying to figure out pizza boxes and liners and caps for pizzas. And how does it work? Can you open the flange to let some steam out? And when you're those kind of models that didn't have to go delivery, dine in, a brick and mortar and cater, and you didn't have all that, you're stuck. I mean, what are you going to do? The legacy restaurants have been around for 100 years that didn't even have a website or things like that. So there was a lot to adapt to. There was a lot of pride that needed to be swallowed. There was a lot of, hey, I'm this guy. I'm not going to put my pizza in a box or my food in a box and send it. all of a sudden then everybody started jumping on and they were doing bad deals and losing 35%. They weren't in it early enough because they had this one-way thinking or this mentality. So yeah, there's times that you want people to eat in front of you because it is better. I mean, there's nothing like going to a slice house concept and getting a slice that's been reheated. And there's nothing in the etiquette of reheating a slice. In New York, you'd be like, okay, I want this and there. They put it in the oven. They'll give you the slice. It's on a paper plate with wax paper. Maybe you eat it on the street. And in California, you start a slice house. You're like, what are you putting in the oven for? Oh, this is what you do. And like, oh, can I put it in a box? Why is it on a plate? Because you have a slice and you're going to the next bar, you're going down the street. So slice houses, when you go in and you have them for the first time, it's like, whoa, this is a great slice. And that's the kind of thing that, I incorporate a special slice that you can only get by the slice for my groups of franchisees. And they'll say, why don't we sell them by the whole pies to go and deliver them all? Because when they come in, it's as good as it gets. It doesn't even get any better than this. You rotate it, you go through it a lot because everyone loves it. But when they eat it for that first time, they eat it there and they're like blown away. So I almost don't want to put this pizza and have it available for delivery and wait for 45 minutes for it to get there. It's kind of like this pizza that they'll always love. And they always fall in love with that pizza. And the most things written about is that pizza because they have to go in and get it and have it. So yeah, I understand the mentality. We pretty much offer almost the entire menu other than wood fired because our wood fire doesn't hold well. It doesn't deliver well. And I don't want to deliver a subpar pizza. I mean, delivery is already a chance that you're going to get a pizza that's slightly warm and not perfect. I believe the reviewer had the New Yorker. So I'm glad. That's a great pizza.
Obviously, not everything travels or delivers well. And Tony's never going to try to deliver something that just has no chance. And I think that's a very smart call. But he does have to loosen the reins of quality a little bit when it comes to wanting to offer delivery or carry-out. And I think consumers should be mindful of that as well.
I come from a hospitality background, specifically food and beverage. I know what operations is like. I've been in it from like literally the bottom rung to the top, from on the floor, behind the kitchen, management, etc. So with that comes the understanding that if you're going to order, for example, something for delivery, you do risk quality to a degree because for me that delivery is probably like 15-20 minutes of drive time, plus if there's any additional time from when the pizza's ready and the driver gets there. But I think when I go into thinking about it and eating it, I take that into consideration and I acknowledge the risk. And I try not to like let that bleed into my opinion because, it's not something I can control and it is something that I chose to do. So at the end of the day, there's still a degree of it that is on me. If I really wanted the freshest straight out of the oven, like I should have gone there and sat down, So yeah, I think I always just try to keep that in mind when I am ordering, whether it is like a delivery type of thing. Now, if it's in the restaurant and if my expectations aren't like what comes out isn't necessarily what sets the expectation, I don't think there should be like a negative stigma or hesitation to just like check in with your waiter or someone while you're dining in. Don't be rude, but just be polite and inquire and let it just kind of happen from there and see where the situation goes. But yeah, in terms of this delivery, it was great. The pizza was great.
I think Dominic makes a great point. Ordering delivery adds a lot of different factors that could definitely impact your experience and the food quality. And some of that's on you as the customer. Knowing how far the food has to travel, door to door, for example, is something you should think of and not blame the business for. I also like how he encouraged customers to share their experience, especially any negative feelings about the food if you are in person while eating. If you're doing it in a nice and respectful way, that helps everyone. You get the quality you're looking for, and the business has a chance to make it right. We're going to take a quick break. Be right back.
We all want the best of both. Dessert without calories, luxury without expense. And how about security without passwords? With Okta, it's possible. We secure identity for your business so you can safely use any technology. You can build experiences that are richer and more secure, grow revenue without running up costs, and scale easily no matter your tech stack. Enjoying the best of both? It's possible. It's Okta. Okta, the world's identity company.
A common theme we talk about a lot on Behind the Review is the importance of a great team. Hiring, training, and the team culture you create for your employees has a big impact on customer experiences. I asked Tony how he managed this part of entrepreneurship at such scale. Not only does he have the full-service restaurant in San Francisco, but he has tons of slice concepts. And now an entire division of franchises as well.
It's always about your team. How do you have consistency and quality over several different concepts? It's the hardest thing. It's the most challenging. How do you have a team create the culture and for them to understand the culture and be excited to work there, be excited to, make great pizza, to think of it as an owner, not just as an employee. So there's a lot of lead by example. There's a lot of team building. There's a lot of hiring the right team and being able to let that team be able to lead a team. And then, it's coaching. My dad was a coach. He would mentor people. He didn't say a lot, but people would always tell me he was the best coach ever. And I think finding that individual that wants to learn rather than finding an individual that's great at something and doesn't want to be taught or learn new systems, because I just opened up Eastvale. I just got back actually yesterday. Eastvale's near Riverside, LA region, Southern California. And I was working with the team there, and it's a franchisee. He hired his team. His team is great. And they would come to me, and I had a meeting, and there's a translator for one of the guys in the back. Said, "Yeah, I want to know how I'm doing." And I said, "You're doing great." And then he said, "Well, it's hard." I said, "Yeah, well, it is hard because we have Detroit Grandma Sicilian. It's not your typical slice house. When a guy comes in and you hire him, or that lady comes in, you hire her, you got to tell them that whatever you learned before is great, but you're going to have to learn our way. And if an employee can't adapt to your way is an employee that you really don't want. You want an employee that wants to learn, that has an open mind. Of course, you want a skill set, but at the same time, a lot of operators will agree with me that sometimes it's better not to hire somebody that has bad habits or habits that don't want to change. And we get a lot of that. So I said, we're just not finishing it, putting in a box and close it. It goes to that driver or goes to that customer. We're going to finish it with this glaze and shaved Parmesan Reggiano, and we're going to add peppadews. And there's a lot to this step. And we have 2 steps. So it's a lot to take on, because if you're a pizza man or a pizza woman that come in, you're like, whoa, this is different. The systems are really different. It's understanding the systems, why we do the systems the way we do. And sometimes as owners, you may not be the fastest. So all of a sudden you hire somebody that's fastest next to you, or a saute guy that's better than you and been doing it long. And that saute guy knows it and he abuses it. That's not the person that you want. You want somebody to work with you, wants to grow. We always want long-term in our business. And I think there's a lot of developing and getting to know your employees as much as you can. And I've built a great foundation that I'm able to go ahead and keep building and building. You're always trying to hire more. And sometimes you think you could do it all, but you're a better person if you have a better team behind you. And people don't realize that. They think that they have to carry all the weight on their shoulders. And it's not about you. It's not about me. It's about we. And people need to understand that. My success is your success. And that's something that I always say. And I think it's important to understand and realize.
Having a great team allows you to run a great business. And having a team that's bought into the culture of the business creates a great foundation for you to continue to grow and connect with more customers. And connection with customers doesn't just happen in person or in the business. It also happens online. A lot of businesses struggle with social media because it's not something they're experts in. But the key to social media is really just authenticity and human connection. People want to peek behind the curtain, so to speak.
The Instagram algorithm is something that is always changing. And honestly, I can't even keep up with it anymore. I've been seeing a lot more content this year with people putting business leaders or owners or representatives on camera and hearing directly from them. We all still love a good shot of like a cheese pool or like food on a table spread, but like who's behind all of that and what's their story, it's much more accessible to hear about that on a social media platform than having someone go to your website, go to the about section, and then read multiple paragraphs about it. Whereas, boom, 20-second reel. Hi, my name is XYZ, and I started this business because, and I was motivated, inspired by this. And when you come here, you can expect this. You capture someone's attention long enough. You've highlighted yourself. You put a face to the name, to the business, to the food, to the product, etc. And like you've basically just given them the summary and like the story of your life in that short little time. And I think that's really trendy right now. I personally am a big fan of BTS videos or behind the scene videos. So I think it's super cool when, like I said, we love a good spread or something on the table, but like seeing what actually happens in the kitchen, behind the bar, behind the operations. How do they like, a place like Tony's, they do so much volume and it's so busy. How do they manage that back of house? What's their operational flow? How do they make sure they don't do any misses on their toppings if they're busting out a bunch of pizzas all at once? How is their communication? Who's directing it all? How do they make their sauce from scratch? Where do they source their proteins from? I think that's all super fascinating and a great way to show these people like how authentic your ingredients are and where it comes from.
Social doesn't always have to be fully edited and polished. Honestly, engaging with your customers online in general is more so about showing up than showing up perfectly. And that's true for reviews too. As a business, you should leverage reviews as a way to help you, celebrate you, and give you some insights into your customers' opinions.
I have people now that look at them every day and address them as quick as we can. We're very personal. Somebody doesn't like something, they complain, they give you a 2-star because you have shitty parking, or we didn't have valet back in the day, so I got a 1-star. So there's things that are out of your control. Did the server not understand the customer? And I always say, well, what does that mean? Did the server not understand the customer? Like, I like you to say, what do you like? Do you like it thick or thin? You like it crispy? If you say, I like it thin, then don't get the Sicilian. I mean, like, don't get the Detroit. I mean, I'm talking about styles that are thick. And, when you see it, yeah, we had the Buratina di Margherita, which is a Sicilian. And it was just, I don't like thick pizzas. I like thin pizzas. And you're like, oh, geez. And, when you see those kind of reviews, like, okay, we served the wrong pizza to the customer. And then sometimes people don't get it. It's the margarita, it's charred, chewy, wet, and they would say, it's pillow-like, and they didn't understand the pizza. Best pizza in the world. I got to try it. I didn't like it. I should have just got you a pepperoni, and you would have loved it. So those kind of reviews, you take to heart, and it gets very personal, territorial. You want to get on there and say, you can go, you screw yourself, blah blah blah. And you need to take a step back, but there's definitely the serious ones that you want to try to fix and correct and make it better. If somebody doesn't like something, I'll comp it. I drop stuff on the tables all day long, and I let my managers know that. And at the same time, I enjoy people happy in my restaurant. I like to comp when things are also right, and just comp if you've never been here before, you're celebrating like a birthday or an anniversary. But I'm not afraid to give people a second chance. Hopefully they give us a second chance. And, sometimes there's bad nights. Sometimes you got to look at it and say, I have a lot of restaurants, and we have management teams that oversee a lot. And we also like to talk to the ones that give us a good review and say, thank you. We appreciate it. Let's do something positive for the positive reviews, not only for the negative reviews. And now, as an operator and owner, like I said, there's a lot of pride there. Trust me, when somebody doesn't like something of mine, it becomes personal. I get upset about it. And we're not always right. And usually the customer is right. I think it's try not to let it get too personal. Am I looking at them every day? No. Do I? Once in a while, I do. Do I connect with my managers? My managers come to me and say, It's been awesome. We've had like 25-star reviews. And then we had a bad one. Maybe something wasn't clean or it was loud. Yeah, I see those ones and yeah, I get it. It's kind of out of my control. But we do take heart. I do look at the ones that are serious and we want to make them better. And we want to educate not only the customers better, but the team and say, look, I've had a few issues with this. And I think our server's selling the wrong pizzas to that table. We need to make sure it's an easy saying, yeah, I got to try the margarita. It's always that. Oh, yeah, I read about it. I got to try the margarita. But you know what? Just have you ever had Neapolitan before? No. You ever been to Italy before? No. You like pizzas that are crispy? Yeah. Do you like pizzas that just you fold it and it just doesn't break? And yeah, you put it and it's yes. You love pepperoni pizzas? Yeah. Then don't get the margarita. Why? Because you're gonna hate it.
Tony has a lot of experience, and his perspective on reviews is one I often see with veteran business owners. He knows there are things out of his control and his team's control that could cause someone to write a less than 5-star review. But there are also things that they can control that are helpful to know. So rather than thinking of reviews as a burden, he uses them as a tool. And by responding to them, the business sends a message to consumers saying they care. This goes a long way.
I think it doesn't happen enough, but when it does, it's nice. Whether you write a positive review or a negative review, if there's someone that's adding a human element to a digital platform and just responding or checking in with you, regardless of, like I said, if it's positive or negative, I think it speaks to the business's attention to detail and their actual care for the opinions of their customers, because they are actually, they're taking that time and effort to read what people are saying and to then come up with a response, either, acknowledging it or trying to like fix it or etc. So it's something that I highly recommend to any business owners. I think it's a nice human element that should just exist more. It's always nice when you can connect a business to a person or a business to a face or a name, because then it becomes less transactional and it becomes the human element. It's someone read it and cared enough to respond, and that's nice, I think.
And that concludes our episode. I hope you enjoyed it and were able to take a thing or two away to implement in your own life. Whether it's a new idea that you can bring back to your business or a fresh perspective on how to be a positive influence as a consumer, we share these stories to inspire and create more meaningful connections in your local community.
Behind the review, dig deeper too. Behind the review, get all the news. Food, flowers, fixing, make business boom. Behind the review, dig deeper too.
This episode featured a conversation with Tony Gemignani, the owner of Tony's Pizza Napoletana, as well as Slice House and a bunch of other franchise concepts coming soon. We also featured Dominic B, a Yelp community manager living in the Bay Area. To learn more about the story, head to yelp.com/behind the review and check out the guest details and episode takeaways. And don't forget to subscribe to the show on your favorite listening platform so you get an alert each Thursday that we drop a new episode. To claim your own Yelp business page and start engaging with consumers, visit business.yelp.com. Our theme song is performed by Ali Schwartz and produced by Robbie G of Messerol Sound.